Hey, Professor Kim here, and I am really excited to share with you a game that you can play in your classroom that I actually just love to play, period. It does have some wonderful educational value to it though, and I'll tell you when you should use it in your classroom and why in this video. The game I'm talking about is called Time's Up. Hi, instructors. While Time's Up does look and feel a lot like a party game, I think there are so many wonderful lessons that you can teach your students with these games. Time's Up is a social game, and if you are looking for connecting your students to each other and introducing yourself as the instructor to the class, Time's Up is a wonderful way to build cohesion. The other benefit from Time's Up is that you can actually cover a lot of really great core material for what you're teaching. And that means that this game is customizable based on what you want your students to actually be talking about and to be guessing in this particular game. With the first lesson, social cohesion or connectivity, I use Time's Up in my classroom on the very first day to get those students to kind of break out of their shell, because there are some shy students, there are students that don't like to talk necessarily, and so instead of putting them up in front of the classroom and asking them to act out and essentially be timed with their responses in this game, what I do is I kind of demonstrate that with a really outgoing, gregarious student who volunteers themselves, and I teach them how to play this game by doing it in front of the class with another student. Then I break them into partners and I give them 5 cards. They have to get their partner to guess those 5 cards. I'm not too strict with the time because really it's just about asking a student to think outside the box and to connect with another student. So they're in smaller groups, they're in partners, it makes them feel safe, but they're also getting to know somebody that they maybe didn't know beforehand. I'm also walking around the room and I'm trying to help students who are stuck, and I help them give clues. So I'm interacting with them and I'm watching them interact with the class. And then afterwards we have a really great discussion about, well, what did we learn when we got stuck? How did we get past giving the same clue? How did we try to figure out what the other person could guess? As the guesser, if you were stuck, what did you do to kind of figure out what the person might be trying to imply with something? It's a wonderful first day activity, or in some cases, you can still do that within the first week. The second thing you can do with this game is customize the actual terms and the titles and the names to things that fit your curriculum. So at the end of a unit or at the end of a term, you might want your students to review material. This is a great way to have them review the material. And in that case, I would have them break into small groups and not partners, because then you can start playing Time's Up the way Time's Up is intended to be played, and that's in 3 rounds. So when students know each other and it's later in the term, you can customize Time's Up to your field. You'll find that playing the full game of Time's Up with the terms and the words and the concepts that you want your students to review and to really understand, you're going to find that that is a very, very helpful, beneficial way for your students to learn and just absorb that material in a way that doesn't include lecturing and testing, because they are engaged. When they play this game, they are focused. So many students want to be competitive, and so they feel like this as a game, they want their team to win, and it really gets them engaged, honestly. And there's no points and there's no real winner in this game. It's really just about how efficiently and effectively can you give clues, and then how well can you guess as the guesser? Have you been paying attention? And I think that's a really big part of it, because the game grows over those 3 rounds. I will be giving a detailed explanation and instruction for the students in the student tutorial about how to play Time's Up. If you're looking at a specific Time's Up to get, I use title recall because I find that that's so much easier for my students to understand and to play than the original game, just Time's Up. These are names of people and fictional and historical. It's hard to get someone to guess a name that doesn't necessarily have any way to get to it aside from just knowing the name. When you have titles, you can get people to say things to get to the title without them ever knowing that's an actual title of something, because you're doing other clues. Hey students, Professor Kim here, and you guessed it, Time's Up is our game today. This is a fun, fast-paced, clue-giving game which is played in teams, so I know you're going to have a great time with this. This game is played over 3 rounds, and in the very first round, you can pretty much do anything except for say what's on your card. Now in this case, you can choose as a group to be on the blue side or the yellow side. Whichever one you choose, just make sure you stay on that particular side. Now you've divvied out 40 cards as evenly as possible to everybody who's playing the game, and that means that you've got just a little bit of intel on what shows up on this particular card. So when you see someone give a clue or you hear something that sounds familiar, it might be the card that you saw. So once you've looked at the cards that have been dealt to you, you're going to shuffle everything back in, and there's going to be a large stack of cards. One representative from the first team is going to go up in front of their team and within sight of everyone else playing the game. They are going to flip over the timer and look at the first card. And in the first round, anything goes. You want your teammates to guess this card. Now, only the team that's active is the one that is guessing and clue giving. Everyone else in the room should be paying attention because there's still round 2 and round 3, and they might actually get this clue for the next round or 2. So within this sand timer, you have to get through as many of these cards as you can. Any noises or movements or sounds or words, just not what's on your card. You cannot say what you see, but you can say anything else to get someone to say this. In the first round, passing is not allowed. So when you look at a card, you gotta get your teammates to guess that card. The team guessing can shout out as many things as they think might apply to this card. Once all of the cards have been won by various teams, the same cards are collected and then shuffled back together, and you are going to start round 2. In round 2, the clue giver can say only one word. They can still make as many noises and sounds and movements as they'd like, but they can only say one word. They are allowed to pass. So if you look at this card, unlike in the first round, you can put it on the bottom and draw the next card without saying anything. It's your choice as the clue giver. The other thing is that the team can only make one guess. So the first person to shout out an answer better be right. If they shout out the wrong thing, that clue giver has to put their card on the bottom of the deck and draw the next one. No penalty. Once all of the cards have been guessed by all the various teams, we are then going to take all the cards and shuffle them all back again. It's round 3, and you guessed it, things are going to get harder. In round 3, the clue giver cannot say anything. You can make noises, you can make movements, you can tap, you can whistle, you can do anything. No words. You can still pass as the clue giver, and the guessers still only get one guess before that person has to put that card on the bottom and do the next one. Everybody should be watching. Everyone should be paying attention. If it's not your team guessing, don't shout out the answer, but you can definitely be thinking about what you think the answer is. Because again, that card might come up later when it's your turn and it's your team guessing, or when you're the clue giver. You're gonna start wanting to piggyback on other people's clues. So if someone did something that you think was particularly clever, lock that away and pull it back out when it's your turn to give the clue. Another suggestion I'd offer you is to start doing sounds and movements in the first round and the second round, because you are preparing for the third round when you can't say any words at all. And that's really hard if you've not set up any other ways of communicating. You have to know that this isn't just a verbal game, this is pretty much a whole body game, and so you need to be engaged and active and trying to communicate in every way possible. Alright, so I'm here to show you what a turn looks like essentially. I am up for my team and I'm going to be the clue giver. Now this is going to be a little goofy and strange because I don't actually have any guessers here, so I'm going to try to give as many clues as I think for someone to shout it out, and then I'm going to move on, hoping that you are playing right along with me. I'm also going to try to keep track of my sand timer so that I only use a minute. We'll see how well that goes. Normally it's really helpful for someone to be running the sand timer that's not on the team that's active. So definitely dole that task out so that someone can, when the sand timer is done, yell, "Time's up." Hence the name. So I'm using blue side, I'm ready to go, and the sand timer goes. I'm giving clues to my team. This is the name of an album by Nirvana, and it's what you say when you say don't bother. Don't bother with that. This is the B-52 song, and it's when you, it's not lust, it's this, and it's where, you know, you gotta, and it's, we can get together. Yes. Ooh, this is a Steinbeck film? This is a Steinbeck book, and it's not rats, but it's other little tiny things, and it's not women, but oh, I'm done. Time's up. It's so fast. So when someone guesses your card, all you need to do is just throw it on the floor like you saw me do. Because what you're going to do is gather up all of those cards, and those are the guest cards that go into your team's pile that we shuffle together for the next round. If you look at a card or you gave a clue to a card that wasn't guessed, you just put it on the bottom, and then you pass this deck over to the next representative from the team to clockwise. If you're going clockwise, just to the next team. They're going to take the deck, they're going to get a minute, we're going to have guessers go. Notice that I kind of sang and I moved. I tried to add some gestures because it's going to make things a lot easier for round 2 when you can only say one word, when you can only guess one thing as the guessers. Have fun with it though. You can sing, you can dance, you can do all sorts of things. Get into it and kind of just have fun, but also try to be as efficient as you can. And if you mess up, don't worry about it. Just move on like I did. I misspoke, who cares? Say what you really mean, right? Correct yourself. You're going to be just fine. As you can tell, Time's Up is great for communication, and again, not just verbal communication. There are so many different methods of communicating ideas and concepts in this game that you are going to have a blast watching your students really stretch themselves and do more than just talk about the concepts that you want them to learn in your class. They are going to be emoting them and expressing them in really, really interesting and creative ways. Time's Up has so much to offer your students, and I'm really, really excited that you're giving Time's Up a chance. So if you have another implementation of the game that you find is really helpful in the classroom, leave it in the comment section below and I'll be sure to check it out. Thanks for watching.